Hello, boys and girls. Sorry for the wait, but you're now watching and listening to Peter Talks Smackdown. And this Smackdown this week is in Sacramento, home of one of the greatest heel promos ever, The Rock Show in Sacramento. Uh, I've from time to time go back to that promo where he's basically, I think he's singing a song, and he's talking about how the Lakers are gonna beat the Kings in May. Oh man, that place fucking erupted. Well anyway, thanks for tuning in. An action-packed SmackDown this week, especially with the Divas. They got a shit ton of time, but it starts off with the same Roddy Piper, rest in peace, package that they showed on Monday. It's still kind of surreal that he's dead once you think about it. That's one of those guys I was thinking he was going to be like really, really old by the time he left this planet. But he left at age 61. And, unlike Dusty, Dusty was about at least 15 years older than he was. It's a shame he left, but at least he was in his 70s. He was an old dude. Roddy didn't really get to that point. I saw his last interview. I know I've talked about this already with the New Day podcast and also with Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling, but I never brought up his last interview on the Rich Eisen show. It was probably one of the most uncomfortable interviews I've ever seen. Eisen was trying to talk to him, trying to ask him questions about the whole Hogan gate, Negro gate, and he just goes off into like just different weird stories that wasn't really cohesive. So I was like, man, I hope this isn't a sign of something to come. And sure enough, 2 days later, he left the planet. So, maybe sometime this weekend I'll probably go through some Roddy Piper matches. Check out the street fight with Goldust. A couple of other things. Check out some Piper's Pits. Get a good laugh. But yeah, that's my Roddy promo for Peter Talk SmackDown. But let's get into the show. First off, we get Roman Reigns, and Sacramento is a pro Reigns crowd. Even with some of the piping of the noise that they do sometimes, the canned noise. Sometimes you can't get out those boos. You just can't get out those boos. Maybe that's why they don't have John Cena on there, because the place would just boo his ass, and they can't can heat that shit. Well, anyway, he comes out, and he's basically shooting on Bray and what happened at the end of Battleground. And this is probably one of the first times we've gotten to hear how he actually felt about what happened at Battleground and the reuniting of Bray Harper and Bray Wyatt. Sorry, Luke Harper. And that's one thing about like the WWE and how they handle Reigns. They don't follow up on him too much. We still don't know how mad he is about like him losing his championship match due to Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. We don't get a lot of emotion out of this guy. And they don't tie a lot of ends to shit that happens, and they wait 3 weeks for him to finally talk about what happened at Battleground. So he gets a long speech. Normally he'd come in and he'd say something before he gets interrupted, but he talks a very long time. So I guess that's what SmackDown's for, is let you grow your wings. They're doing that with Cesaro right now. So but he challenges Bray and Harper to SummerSlam, and in a tag team match, Bray and Luke versus Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose. And he issues the challenge. And then Rusev walks out with Summer Rae, and they go back and forth and basically talking about how they're going to fight later on that evening. Next up, we get the New Day. Man, I don't know what it is about the New Day. They brighten my motherfucking New Day brightens my day. I mean, I even have a podcast named after those motherfuckers. That's how awesome they are. They started off so fucking weak, and now they're like the best thing on WWE right now. And they come out and they're clapping and dancing and shit. So it's all three of them: Kofi Kingston, Big E, and Xavier Wood versus the primetime players as in Titus O'Neil and Darren Young with Mark Henry, which is really weird because even on Monday, it was a squash match he had against Rusev, and then later on, a couple of minutes later, they fucking promote how Mark Henry is gonna be in a fucking three-way tag team. So it was like weird. He comes out with primetime players, and I wish they would always use him at this capacity where he's like a badass. He doesn't necessarily have to win, but necessarily have to get his ass handed to him either. Jesus. But good match, fast paced match. The New Day, they beat the living shit out of Darren Young at one point where they just like stomp him. You know how they do the circle, the tag, and they just stomp, stomp, stomp. They did that a little longer than normal. I think it was like 9 rotations. It just stomped a fucking mud hole in Darren Young. But Henry ends up getting the pin of all people, and this is the fucking dynamic with the primetime players is that they don't know who to fucking give the rub to ever. I mean, I get it, but any and every time, like the last time the primetime players were in action, I think Kalisto gets the pin, and now this Henry gets the pin. And Henry's not even, I mean, it ties up later, but Henry's not even going to be on SummerSlam at all. So why even give him the pin? I mean, I get it now, but still, I think it's pretty weird. It's still a tag team match. I think it's going to be 2-on-2. Say if Xavier Wood had gotten pinned by, say, Titus O'Neil, it wouldn't have played into the idea of them going to SummerSlam to be, contenders for the belt. And also, they need to fucking, get it straight. Make it known who the number one contender is. Because till right now, we still don't know. The Los Matadors right now, who got a win 2 weeks ago over the primetime players with New Day distraction, on paper, they are the number one contenders. So they need to get that shit straight. But it was a cool ending. Henry gets he drops the world's strongest slam after I think Titus O'Neil basically has Kofi. He has Kofi up, and then he throws him back behind his head, and there's Mark Henry to catch him, and then he just drops the world's strongest slam. And after that match, they go backstage, and they're like, well, they're pretty pissed off in the back. And they're like, we're still the number one contenders. I mean, we believe we're the number one contenders. Mark Henry, I think there's some jabroni back there with a microphone. He's like, you think this, interferes with your number one contendership? He's like, well, no. Mark Henry pinned us. So it wasn't either Titus or Darren. So we are still the number one contenders. And when we win those championships, win that championship belt at SummerSlam, hey, we want some New Day. Oh man, those guys are great. It's in reference to Doodle Brown by Uncle Luke of the Two Live Crew. Hey, we want some pussy. But he's like, hey, we want some New Day. I guess that shit slid by somebody in the back when they decided that they wanted to do that for creative. We get a Charlotte package. Charlotte just actually gave the rub to Bayley at NXT. I think they're gonna, because all the girls are basically leaving the NXT roster and joining the main roster. I think she's gonna run a gauntlet and be the number one girl in NXT. And Charlotte did the favors first last Wednesday on NXT, and it was pretty cool. So next she fights Becky Lynch, and then she's going to face Sasha Banks, I think, at in Brooklyn for the NXT takeover. and that's going to be the ultimate rub for Bayley to basically be the number one diva on the NXT roster. But we got a Charlotte package that was pretty cool. I'm glad she's on the main roster. Next up, we get Charlotte versus Naomi. Becky Lynch accompanies Charlotte. They still go by the name of the Submission Sorority. I still don't know why they still have that name. I guess by next Monday they will have dropped it because of a porn reference. And then Naomi, she's with Team Bad. She has Sasha Banks and Tamina Snuka joining them. The match goes, and it ends with the figure 8 applied to Naomi, which brings in Sasha Banks to cause the DQ. After that whole debacle, the ref, senior ref Mike Chioda, is talking to Eden Styles and her fine ass. That is the wife of Cody Rhodes. She's the timekeeper and the announcette. She's so hot. Per authority, they made it into a tag team match, three versus not 3 versus 3. I apologize. It turned into just a regular tag team match. Charlotte and Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks and Naomi, which is a long fucking match. I think they gave them at least 15 minutes. I mean, I think overall they gave them 20 minutes between the one-on-one and then the tag team. I mean, that's to go from a stopwatch of like maybe a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, now giving them like 20-minute segments. It's incredible. But again, my thing with the Divas is too much too soon, and now we want to draw. I'm ready for one of them to draw attention to the idea that they want to be the Divas champion. But at the end, there's a little bit of confusion in the tag, and I don't remember seeing Naomi tag in, but she ends up getting the roll-up pin on Charlotte. Now, I don't know if that was just like a whatever, maybe they were tired or something, but Naomi gets the pin, but I do not remember her being the legal woman in the ring. And maybe, just maybe, they'll bring that up on Monday. Even the commentators were pretty confused about it. And Charlotte gets the loss, which is the first loss by any of the first pin by any of the divas that have come up to the main roster. But I feel like there's going to be a rematch. I think Naomi wasn't the legal person and supposed to have been in the ring, but we'll find out Monday. We get Stardust versus Zack Ryder. And Zack Ryder, man, I mean, motherfuckers give some TV time. Got to give him credit. I gave him hell on Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling, where I was just, man, I fucking hate Zack Ryder. I don't hate him. I just go, man, I think I was pretty disappointed in the fact that he had that huge push. Well, he was given somewhat of a push, and then he got another push off the ramp in a wheelchair by Kane. And ever since then, there was no growth at all. I just saw him on fucking NXT. He's with somebody, I can't think of the person's name, but he's with some other dude, and they're called the Hype Bros. So at least he's getting some TV time. He get NXT time, he gets jobber time on Raw. He's been on there, I guess, a lot recently. Squash matches, but nevertheless, give him some TV time. And now this match against Stardust. What is it? That Stephen Amell, who is the Green Arrow, and they're trying to start this whole beef between the two of them. We find out Monday, and they fucking remind us today that he's going to be on Raw next Monday. And I'm almost thinking that he's going to give Stardust a chin check to the idea, like, dude, I'm not a superhero, I'm an actor. You're nuts. And then we're hopefully strip away to getting more to Cody Rhodes and giving him a Cody push. He wins, Stardust wins with Crossroads, which last week or Monday I think was called the Queen's Arrow, and I think this one's called the Queen's Crossroads. I didn't really hear Queen's Crossbow. Either way, it's a clusterfuck. And even Lawler, after Tom Phillips says the Queen's Crossroads or whatever the fuck she says, he says Queen's Crossroads. He's even confused. But Stardust then after shoots on ML, Be My Hero type of shit. I don't know. No Neville to be found, and that's where the feud is right now. But oh well. We get a Big Show backstage, and he's shooting on Ryback, and he gives us his best Rocky Balboa impersonation, talking about Ryback, and he forgets why he's out now, because it seems like he's always out with an injury, whether it's a broken leg, whether it's a broken foot, I don't know, broken hand. And then he's like, well, why is he out this time? It's staph infection. Oh yeah, staph infection. It's pretty funny. And then we get to our main event. Wow. Yeah, not many matches because of that fucking Divas match, that Divas segment, 20 minutes. So we get to our main event, which is Roman Reigns versus Rusev. And it's a really fucking long match. I mean, I think it clocked in about 18 minutes. I mean, I had to watch it on the upload, and when it got to it finally, it was like 20 minutes left. I was like, whoa, they're going to actually fight this entire match? And sure enough, they fucking did. But there was one really cool spot, like the spot of the night, honestly, was basically Reigns catching Rusev, like lifting him up, hoisting him around, I guess penis in his face. But he hoists him on his fucking shoulders. And then he just does a really sick sit-down powerbomb that was super, super impressive. What is that? After the Superman punch, Summer, and then like it goes back and forth and shit. I think there's a point where Rusev super kicks Bray Wyatt, no sell, into a Superman punch. And then they're both kind of like laid out. And then Summer Rae, climbs up on the apron. It looks like she's about to get involved somehow. But the referee catches her and kind of tells her to get the fuck off. And then she backs down, and out comes Lana and attacks Summer Rae. Cat fight, and then she just smacks the living shit out of Lana Rae. And that's almost a distraction for a roll-up by Reigns, which Rusev kicks out. And super kick to a near fall. Rusev throws a tantrum. He just fucking get pissed off, which leads to a missed super kick as Reigns runs the ropes and hits him with a 6 spear. And for the win, for the 1-2-3 victory. And Roman Reigns is the third person to ever beat Rusev. So far, we got John Cena with a clean win. We got Cesaro with a clean win. And now we have Roman Reigns. So I guess Rusev and the idea of him losing is going to be a thing now. He's not going to be protected by not having him pinned, especially on SmackDown, unless you hear these stories about SmackDown and how if it happens on SmackDown, it doesn't really happen. So they don't even really address it on Raw. They never really addressed his loss to Raw, on Raw, to Cesaro. So we'll see what happens. His feud is with Dog Ziggler, and I guess he'll be back either next week or for the Go Home show to basically set the challenge for SummerSlam. And then I was just like, okay, Roman Reigns is celebrating just a little too long, and then he even showed like the ID at the bottom of the screen, and I was like, okay. But then on the big screen, on the Titantron, Bray Wyatt shows up basically to accept the challenge that he issued at the beginning of the show to make it a tag team match for SummerSlam Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper versus Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. 1/3 of the Shield. They should call him She, because no L in the D, or the Ild, no S in the H. I don't know. But yeah, I still see it. It's a lot of I don't know. I see Dean Ambrose turning on Reigns and joining the Wyatt family. That's just my thing, man. I've been wrong before. Actually, I'm wrong a fucking lot. But if Dean Ambrose doesn't join the fucking Wyatt family, I'm gonna be like, fuck you. and if he does, I'm just gonna brag about that shit. I've been asking for Dean to join either one of those two for quite some time. If you listen to Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling, or if you checked out previous Peter Talks Smackdown, he should have teamed up with Bray Wyatt when they had their little feud. He should have teamed up with Luke Harper when they had their little feud. They wear the same fucking clothes. They look like a fucking tag team. So now SummerSlam, it's the first half of the wrestling season year, and they need something. They need something for Reigns, for him to show some emotion, and maybe more than Seth Rollins turning his back and hitting his ass with a chair. The next day he's spiking fucking drinks, or even pissed off at Rollins for interfering in his championship match at WrestleMania. No emotion whatsoever. He hasn't even addressed Brock Lesnar, or upset and wants a rematch. Nothing. So hopefully, if they do pull the trigger and have Ambrose turn on Reigns, and him joining the Wyatt family, maybe, just maybe, because they've been broing out so fucking much recently, Reigns and Ambrose. They're like a damn couple. Maybe this will be the first fucking time that he is actually pissed. And it'd be a shame for Ambrose because he's such a hot babyface. But at least, if they're going to try to give Roman Reigns any kind of a push, this whole, like, everything not anybody but you thing is not really drawing up any real emotion from Reigns. He's too cool. And maybe Ambrose will be that fucking, the catalyst for us to get a raging fucking Roman Reigns. Alright, and that concludes Peter Talks Smackdown. Thank you so much for listening and watching. If you're on YouTube, hit that little subscription button right there. I'm doing my finger. If you're listening, I'm pointing really weird with my finger down towards the subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter. That's PJTW Central. Again, I do live tweets during Raw, and I try to say some funny shit. Also, go to pjtwcentral.com, where I upload, embed the YouTube video. You can actually, the videos on the page, you can just hit it, click it. It's 2 videos. It's what was before. So right now it would be Smackdown, Peter Talks Smackdown, and then last Wednesday's Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling podcast. So check that out too. And below the videos, you see the options for the SoundCloud, the Tumblr link, and the Stitcher Radio link. So those are the 3 options where you can actually check out all of Peter Talks content. I guess the next time I will be seeing you is for... I was going to do a video on the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast with Paige, but decided not to. I heard it wasn't that big of a deal of a fucking podcast, so fuck it. I'll probably listen to it anyway, but I'm not going to do a review. So you'll probably catch me on Monday for Peter's Raw recap. Alright, I'm about to shut this down and watch me some Ultima Lucha. Yes, I'm going to watch that right now. So do yourself a favor, people. Be safe this weekend and stay away from foreign objects. Don't start no shit because the foreign objects are real. They going to hit you. So All right, peace.